Alright people, how's it going? Everyone out there in internet land, I hope you are having a fantastic day. Today we are going to be talking about your first legendary unit, that's right. A lot of you who do not spend money will not have unlocked Fashion Sakura, and you either now have or you are just about to get your first legendary unit in game, because we have hit the point where some people, depending on if you'd spent any money at all, will be unlocking Blanka as of today. Some of you it might be in the next couple of days, but we are in the process of everyone starting to get Blanka, okay? And for a lot of you, he is going to be your first legendary faction class unit, okay? So some of you are simply not going to know how these units work, how they function, what advantages they have, and what drawbacks they have, because unfortunately they do have a drawback depending on how you view your team building, okay? So first off, let's look at exactly how legendaries work, how you get Blanka up to power, and how you use them. So, here's our boy Blanka. This is him here. You can already see with myself, I've got him at SS, okay? If you look up at the top, however, you'll see there's this little section here, okay? And in this little section, he is linked, for me, to Combat Guile. Now, how this actually works, right, is if I click into this, when you've got a character that's a legendary, okay, you do not level that character at all, right? You do not put them into your limit break, you don't do that. They basically clone the level of another unit, right? So in this instance, I've used, for him, I've used Combat Guile. For her, I've used Chun-Li, okay? So that's the two legends I have, and this is how I've got them linked, okay? The advantages to this are twofold. One, if you have not yet completed this here, okay, if you've not completed this, when you link Blanka to, let's just say, your highest rarity character that, like, say, SS, whatever, right? Every single level Blanka goes up, so A+, S, S+, SS, SS+, all of them, right? Even though you're just linking them to a character, you will unlock one of these, okay? You will unlock these, and if you're short on points, it might be enough to push you up to actually get the 888 diamonds from the final chest, and you'll get a whole bunch of diamonds for linking Blanka, okay? However, if you do link Blanka to your strongest character, so let's just say your strongest character is Bison, and you link Blanka and Bison together, you cannot put Bison and Blanka in the same team, because the way that team building works is it almost classes them as the same unit, right? Because you know how you can't put two copies of the same unit on a team? Well, that rule applies to the character you've linked to a legendary, okay? So what you could do, if you really want to, if Bison is your highest rarity character, again this is just an example, so if he has the most stars, you're long term not going to want to link him to Blanka, okay? But if you really want to quickly pop off that mission, you could link him, okay? You could get all those rewards, I don't know how much it is, it's probably more than 1,000 anyway, get a whole bunch of rewards, and then after that, you could simply go into here, break synergy for 100 diamonds, and then link them to someone else, okay? You're going to gain more than you lose, so for people who want to just get that quick injection of diamonds, that is something you could do. Just remember, unless you're planning to never run those two characters on the same team, just remember to break that synergy and put them to another character who maybe you're not using as often, maybe you consider trash, and they've got lots and lots of dupes, so they have a high start level, but you don't use them. That is the type of character you should link that unit to, okay? So, that is both the bonus, one of the bonuses of Blanka, you don't have to spend any resources on him, and also it is one of his drawbacks, you cannot put him on the same team as the person you've linked him with, okay? Now, one of the other drawbacks to having legendary characters, and I personally see this as a drawback, to be honest, okay? If we go into here, challenge, you'll notice that on this squad, Blanka does not contribute to this at all, okay? He doesn't work like a master, where a master essentially just floats and allows you to essentially clone any faction bonus. They give none, right? So if you run, for example, Fashion Sakura and also Blanka in the same team, the most bonus you can possibly get is going to be 4. It's going to be 2 and 2, 2 and 2, like Infernos, 4 of the one faction. You can't get more than that, right? So if you are someone who is quite anally OCD about trying to get, say, for example, this this plus 2 of them, whatever, you cannot do that with Legends on your team. Okay, Legends just do not give you anything at all whatsoever. So if you find that you are someone who is, how do I put this, very focused on min-maxing, who wants to make sure that every single character in your squad is getting the biggest bonus, the biggest boosts that you can possibly get, then legendary characters are really going to screw with your OCD, because you are not going to get anything from these guys in that regard. However, they usually are very good characters. Now, I'm not actually going to go over Blanka in this video because I'm going to save that for another video, or else this video will end up being too long. The good thing about these characters, like I say, is you can gain a few advantages with the fact that they do not have a faction as well. For example, when you're running the inverse world, okay? In the inverse world, there is some penalties, and those penalties are things like factional damage increased, okay? Like when you're taking damage. If you don't have a weakness, then you cannot be punished by that. So for example, if we look here, you can see that wind obviously beats lightning, lightning beats fire. If you're in the inverse world and you've got increased factional damage on, it means that any wind characters that you're fighting against are going to absolutely smash your lightning characters, okay? Whereas Blanka, Fashion Sakura, they're not affected by that because they don't have a faction, right? So using characters like that, you can potentially eke out a little bit more points in stages like that, because you can select bonuses that aren't going to really affect you as much, okay? If you're running Masters in Inferno, because there's less of those characters, it's already an advantage to choose the factional damage. If you start mixing on top of that some legendary characters, then those are almost like free hits. You can take those punishments, get yourself extra points in the inverse world, and really it's not doing anything to you because you're actually not weak to the punishment or the penalty anyway. So you can use legendary faction fighters in the mix there to make those penalties essentially be free points, right? Things like that can really help you, okay? Now, again, they have their drawbacks, but they're fantastic characters, okay? One thing you do need to be aware though is you do not fully clone the other character. So Combat Guile, for example, Fashion Blanka doesn't take his fighting spirit level. That's independent. You've got to level that by yourself, okay? And when it comes to shards that allow you to go quite high on the fighting spirit, they're basically all going to come from chests, okay? The first 2 levels, like normal, you'll get, but when it comes to legendaries, you never really seem to see them anywhere, so you've got to really get them out of these chests. You might get them from idols, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. I never see them, so I don't know if you do. So that's pretty much all you need to know about these legendary characters. I'm not sure how often free-to-play players are actually going to get their hands on these units. They tend to be available in the mall. Fashion Sakura, I believe when we finally get the likes of Fashion Ryu, Fashion Ken, they'll probably be units that you purchase one-off from the mall. If you are a free-to-play player, clearly they're not for you unless you get them for free via events or whatever. If you are a minnow or a dolphin, so not quite fully whale, they're really good investments, really, depending on the unit anyway, because unlike summoning, where you might have to go $900, $1,000 or whatever to max out a unit, it's a one-off purchase, $50, you'll max the unit out and you're good to go. So they're definitely worth considering, especially if you like the kit. The amount you save on investment and time do make these units very usable. I do recommend them, again, depending on the kit, but I've already mentioned to you what their drawbacks are. And if you are someone who really doesn't like that kind of restriction on your team building, then maybe they're not the units for you, right? But fantastic nonetheless. Definitely going to help you in certain situations, especially things like Inverse World, like I said. And yeah, overall, look forward to receiving Blanka. Blanka's a bit of a unique one. We'll talk about him in his own video. But yeah, all good. Anyway, guys, Hayzink done. See you later. Goodbye.